I've been there more times than I'd like to admit. I grabbed a budget-friendly ultra-wide because the price tag looked harmless, set it up, and then spent the next few weeks squinting at blurry textures, wrestling with flicker, and wondering why a game that should have felt immersive just felt flat. The regret that comes after a cheap shortcut can linger longer than the thrill of the discount. So when I started looking at the Samsung 57-inch Odyssey Neo G9, the question I kept asking myself was simple. Does this monster actually solve the problems I ran into with cheaper ultrawides, or is it just another pricey hype machine? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Odyssey Neo G9 isn't just bigger, it's the world's first dual UHD monitor, meaning you get two 4K panels stitched together in a seamless 1000R curve. That curvature is more than a design flourish, it's meant to keep every pixel within a natural line of sight, which matters when you're trying to stay in the zone for a marathon gaming session or when you're dragging a spreadsheet across the screen and don't want to constantly shift your neck. I tested it on a rig that runs a RTX 4090 and a Ryzen 7950X, so the performance numbers I'm sharing are grounded in a setup most serious enthusiasts could actually build. First off, the visual fidelity lives up to the Quantum Mini-LED branding. The HDR peak of 1000 nits is noticeable when you fire up a recent title like Cyberpunk 2077 or a HD-renabled movie. Dark scenes hold detail without collapsing into mud, and bright highlights pop in a way you don't get on a regular 1440p panel. That said, you'll need to turn on HDR in the game and have a compatible GPU to see the full benefit. Otherwise the monitor defaults to a very bright SDR profile that can feel a little aggressive in a dimly lit room. If you're a creator who works with color-critical video, the wide color gamut is a plus, but you'll still want a calibrated profile because the out-of-the-box settings favor gaming punch over absolute accuracy. The 240Hz refresh rate with a 1 millisecond gray-to-gray response is where the monitor really flexes for gamers. In fast-paced shooters like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2 the motion blur is practically non-existent, and the frame time feels buttery smooth when paired with the DisplayPort 2.1 cable I used. AMD's FreeSync Premium Pro also syncs with NVIDIA cards via G-Sync compatibility, so screen tearing is a thing of the past even if you're pushing 200 frames per second. One practical nuance: the high refresh rate is most useful at resolutions that can sustain it. If you're stuck on a 1080p GPU, you'll never see the 240Hz advantage, so the monitor's premium price makes the most sense when your hardware can actually drive it. Now let's talk real-world ergonomics. The 1000R curve wraps the image around your peripheral vision, which is fantastic for immersion, but it also means you need a fairly deep desk. I measured about 30 inches from the back of the monitor to the edge of the stand, so if your workspace is a typical 24-inch depth, you'll have to move the monitor forward or consider a wall mount. The stand itself is sturdy and lets you tilt, swivel, and adjust height, but it doesn't offer a full swivel rotation, so you can't easily flip the screen to portrait mode, a minor inconvenience if you ever want to use it for coding or reading long documents. Who should buy this? If you're a competitive gamer who lives for high frame rates, HDR gaming, and wants the most immersive field of view without compromising on pixel density, the Odyssey Neo G9 checks a lot of boxes. It also makes sense for power users who need massive real estate for multitasking, think video editors, 3D artists, or financial analysts who juggle several applications at once. The dual UHD real estate means you can have a 4K timeline open on one side and a full-screen preview on the other without feeling cramped. Who should skip it? If you're a casual gamer who never pushes beyond 60 frames per second, or if your primary use is web browsing and office work, the price premium is hard to justify. The monitor's size and curve can also be overkill for small rooms. You'll find yourself constantly adjusting your seating to stay comfortable. And if you're on a tight budget, a more conventional 49-inch ultra-wide with a single 1440p panel will still give you a wide workspace without the massive power draw and the need for a high-end GPU. Practical strengths. The dual UHD resolution means you get true 4K clarity on a screen that's literally a wall of pixels. HDR performance is among the best you'll find in a consumer monitor, and the 240Hz refresh rate eliminates motion blur for competitive titles. The quantum matrix tech does a decent job of local dimming, reducing blooming around bright objects, which is a common complaint on cheaper VA panels. The monitor also supports multiple picture-by-picture modes, letting you treat the left and right halves as separate displays if you prefer. Practical weaknesses. The sheer power consumption is noticeable, you'll see.